It is my privilege and my pleasure to ask Jeff Baxter to come up to the stage now. Jeff is Language Arts Department Chair at Leavenworth High School. He's been there 23 years in a number of different positions, numerous accolades and awards that he's won during that time. He's also been a coach. He's been the Centennial League Girls Basketball Coach of the Year. He's been the Sunflower League Girls Basketball Coach of the Year. Really well-rounded guy, and he's got a message and one of the attributes that he wanted to bring to you today. So, Jeff, come on up.
Thank you. Appreciate it very much. I was born in an ambulance on the corner of Linwood and Gillum in Kansas City, Missouri. My mother had tuberculosis and was pregnant with me, and so they were rushing to the hospital when I was born. My dad was in Kansas City going to architectural school and had to give that up because he needed to pay the hospital bills for the tuberculosis, and TB was not covered by health insurance at the time. I was whisked away from my mother at birth because TB was thought to be that contagious. And so I wouldn't be near my mother in the same room for nearly 4 years. What was going to happen to me? The answer, my grandmother. My grandmother, after having raised 6 children of her own through the Depression, and at the age of 68, decided and volunteered that she would take me on. And so that's who I bonded with. My grandmother, Yunkin, a retired school teacher. Growing up, I would pester my grandmother with questions about things that were going on in the neighborhood, things that were happening in our family. And like a teacher, she'd never give me the answers. She would suggest a poem. She'd suggest a passage from a novel or a Shakespearean play or even from the Bible for me to go read and then think about, and then come back later on in the day and sit in the rocking chairs on her front porch or in her living room and talk about what I discovered. No answer was ever wrong, just a starting point for deeper inquiry into what things happened and how they should be. My grandmother, that retired school teacher. I was listening to the lyrics to the song Home just a little bit ago, and a few weeks ago, and was struck by this lyric, if you get lost, the trouble it might drag you down. If you get lost, you can always be found. And in my lifetime, I've had periods where I have truly been lost. And one of them reminded me of a story, just to give you an idea about how my grandmother functioned. I was complaining. I can remember complaining. Seemed like all my toys were either used or handmade. And the neighbor kids were always shiny and new. And so I was complaining. And my grandmother pulled me aside one day and said, I want you to read this passage in the Bible. And she opened up the book to Habakkuk. I'd never heard of that book. I thought she was making it up. It sounded like somebody stuttering, you know. But she just wanted me to read the 3rd chapter. And so I went away and I was reading through it. And after just about a few moments, I came back and said, Grandma, this stuff is awful. Why did you give this to me to read? And she said, you didn't read it all, did you? And I said, well, no, I didn't. She said, now go ahead and read it. And it continues like this. Though the fig tree does not bud, and there is no grape in the vines, though the olive crop fails, and the fields produce no food, though there are no sheep in the pen, and no cattle in the stalls. And I said, Grandma, this stuff is awful. Why am I reading this? And she said, please continue. And so I started again, and it goes, yet. And she stopped me. She said, what was that word? I said, yet. And she said, what is the word? Yet. And that last line finishes, yet I will joy in the Lord. And she and I began to talk about how important it is in life to have a yet attitude. And she talked with me about, sometimes trouble will come. How many of you know that trouble will come? But you need to have a yet attitude. And you need your family to have a yet attitude. In 1978, my wife and I were about to give birth to our first child. Our parents' first grandchild. My grandmother's 15th great-grandchild. Lots of pressure on us. And we were excited. And finally, on February 1978, Jordan Lance Baxter was born. And the family was ecstatic. And Connie and I spent the afternoon and evening holding this new baby in our arms. And finally, about 2 o'clock in the morning, I was exhausted enough where I thought, I've got to go home and sleep. And so I did. About 2 hours later, I get a call from the hospital. Jordan was struggling, and I rushed to the hospital. About 4 hours later, Jordan Lance died of hyaline membrane syndrome, the inability to breathe on your own. We were devastated. We were devastated. Our family helped us, they encouraged us, they put their arms around us, but it was my school family that unexpectedly made the difference. Not only did they encourage us and help us, they provided ways that we could kind of get our feet back up and start to do better and look at things that could happen. My wife's choir students, led by Bobby Lang and Melissa Etheridge, yes, that Melissa Etheridge, came up with a wonderful version of Amazing Grace that they sang at graveside as Melissa accompanied with her guitar. And Connie and I began to have hope. Why? Because our school family had the yet attitude. The yet attitude. Trouble will come. I should have retired 4 years ago. I should have retired 4 years ago. Our 3 children had grown up and gone to college and were working wonderful jobs. Dustin graduated from KU with a degree in psychology and works with autistic children. Tara, the second one, graduated from Furman University in South Carolina with a degree in health and exercise science, was commissioned in the United States Army and is presently a captain with the 82nd Airborne and a Black Hawk helicopter pilot. Okay? I would walk down dark alleys with my daughters, but not my son. Olivia graduated from the University of Missouri with a degree in business, is now a captain with the Missouri National Guard, and is a manager for a telecommunications company. I truly should have retired. But the main reason I should have retired was I weighed 460 pounds. And it was just too hard to get around. In June of 2010, we were visiting my daughter Tara at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, the mother of our 2 grandsons. And one of the last days that we were there, my 2 daughters and wife were walking our 2-year-old grandson up a slight hill just a quarter of a mile away to a swimming pool. And as tears formed in my eyes and they walked off, I knew I could not do that. It would just be too hard on my knees. It would be too hard to do. And as they walked off, I decided that was not going to be my life with my grandkids. And so I went to the doctor, and the doctor gave me some things to do, and we came up with a plan, and she thought, you know, Jeff, if you follow this plan, you can lose 125 pounds. And I thought, boy, I'm doing that. So I began to eat right and watch what I ate and watch when I ate it. And my daughter and doctor came up with a wonderful exercise plan for me to do 4 days a week. And the teachers at school were amazing, and they got me gift cards to Barnes & Noble and Starbucks, my two favorite hangouts, you know, and I'm encouraged. And they would come by and walk with me out on the track sometimes. And I hit 125 pounds running. But the difference was my students began to really encourage me. And they began to walk with me. And they began to help me. And they'd show up at coffee houses to talk about literature and writing and all kinds of things. And what became really amazing, though, was they began to try things that were difficult for them that they'd never tried before. If Mr. Baxter can lose weight like this, then why can't I do this? And so we began to be motivators for each other. I've now lost 270 pounds. And if you don't think taking two metaphorical people off your shoulders doesn't help your teaching, oh my goodness, you know? And it has resurrected my teaching life. I can do things that I haven't done in 30-some years, you know, and I'm excited to be into the classroom. And I have absolutely no thought of retirement. I love what I do with a passion. But the key to that whole thing was my school family had a yet attitude to help me. You know, the trouble will come, but in Blue Valley, you have amazing examples of people that have the yet attitude. Jennifer Smith, where are you? Lakewood Middle School. Okay. She is an astonishing teacher. I've seen her in the classroom. I've seen her affect the lives of hundreds of pre-service teachers in our state. She's just astonishing, and her reach goes clear beyond across the world. An amazing example of a yet attitude. Ted Fabiano, Blue Valley Northwest. Where are you, buddy? Okay. Ted knew me when I weighed 460 pounds. And he's been an inspiration in my life, but even more importantly, he has been an inspiration to students, to athletes, to adults for years. He's just an inspiration to my life. And two people among many of you that have that yet attitude. You know, a school family like yours that commits to being a part of each other's lives, a school family like yours that appreciates that setbacks are merely opportunities for comebacks, a school family that adopts a yet attitude is going to know unbridled joy, and you will truly achieve education beyond expectations. God bless you. Have a great school year.
Great job. Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.